They were found in the barn, piled like discarded dolls. A mother, a father, their daughter, her 2 small children, and the new maid. 6 lives brutally extinguished on a remote Bavarian farmstead. But the horror didn't end there. For days after the slaughter, the killer walked among the dead, tended the cattle, ate their food, sat in their silence. What kind of monster would commit such an act, then linger? The official story tells you it's an unsolved mystery, a tragic footnote in history. But what the files don't tell you, what they tried to bury, is the truth of what came before the axe, and the chilling secret of why the perpetrator stayed. By the end of this, your understanding of human darkness and the secrets hidden in plain sight will be forever changed. Our journey into the shadows begins not with the murders themselves, but with the unsettling prelude. This wasn't a sudden act of madness at the Hinterkaifeck family. The Grubers and their maid Maria Baumgartner had been experiencing strange occurrences for months. Footsteps in the attic when no one was there. Keys disappearing, only to reappear in impossible places. A strange newspaper found on the farm, bought by no one. Old Andreas Gruber, the patriarch, even claimed to have found footprints in the snow leading from the forest to their farm, but none leading away, as if someone had simply materialized. The family was isolated, distrustful. They fired their previous maid, citing paranoia. Was it paranoia or primal instinct screaming a warning they couldn't decipher? The local community dismissed their fears. Just an old man's ramblings, they said, but the whispers intensified. A watchmaker, Lorenz Schlittenbauer, who was having a secret affair with Victoria Gabriel, Andreas's daughter, tried to rationalize it, but even he couldn't explain the unexplainable. Then came the fateful day, March 31st, 1922. It's believed the killer lured Andreas Gruber to the barn first, then his wife, Kazilia, then Victoria, their daughter. One by one they were brought to the barn and murdered with a mattock. The mattock, a brutal farming tool, found on the property. But the method, so precise, so methodical. How could one person in the dark overpower all 4 adults, and then the unthinkable? The 2 young children, Cecilia and Josef, were murdered in their beds. Josef was only 2 years old. This wasn't a crime of passion. This was something colder, something calculated. And here is where the official narrative begins to unravel. The police fixated on robbery, on a transient worker, on scorned lovers. They missed the most crucial piece of evidence, the one that shatters every conventional theory. The killer stayed for at least 3, perhaps 4 days after the murders. Someone was living in that farmhouse. The cattle were fed. Meals were eaten in the kitchen. The dog was let out. Smoke was seen rising from the chimney. Neighbors even reported seeing smoke days after the family was last seen alive. Think about that. Not a quick escape, not a panicked flight, but a deliberate, chilling occupation of a home filled with corpses. The entire premise of a quick, clean murder falls apart. This wasn't about simply killing the family, this was about something far more disturbing. So, if not a panicked killer, then what? The presence before the murders, the footsteps, the missing keys, the footprints indicates a continuous, covert presence. The killer wasn't an outsider who struck and fled. The killer was already there, lurking, watching, perhaps even living on the farm, hidden for weeks, maybe even months before the final brutal act. The mattock was a farm tool. The knowledge of the farm's routine was intimate. This wasn't random violence. This was a targeted purge executed by someone who knew the lay of the land and the rhythm of life at Hinterkaifeck. Consider this. The police questioned over 100 suspects. They never found the murder weapon, only theorized about it. The farm was ultimately demolished. Why? Why wasn't every single stone turned, every piece of evidence meticulously preserved? Because the truth was too close to home. The most chilling, undeniable fact is this: someone was living on that farm, hidden from view, long before the murders. They were a shadow, an unseen presence, a ghost in the machine. And on March 31st, 1922, that ghost decided to make itself known. Not by revealing itself, but by eradicating every witness. The Hinterkaifeck killer wasn't a passing stranger. The Hinterkaifeck killer was a resident, an unseen predator embedded within the very fabric of the isolated farm, who systematically eliminated everyone who might expose their secret existence.
And the files stopped there. The official investigations failed, but the questions linger, echoing through the generations. What have they buried? What have you uncovered about the shadows that move in plain sight? Share your findings, your theories, your deepest suspicions below. Well, the truth of Hinterkaifeck is still out there. It's up to us to find what they buried